Welcome to the TA training series video on the Marvel bandsaw training. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate the safe and proper operation of the Marvel bandsaw, a machine useful for producing straight cuts in aluminum workpieces. First, you need to make sure that you're following all of the relevant safety procedures. So, safety glasses, long pants, closed-toed shoes, and again, make sure that you're not wearing gloves. You should never wear gloves on powered equipment. So the allowable materials for the Marvel bandsaw are aluminum, only aluminum. You can't cut wood or plastic because the wood or plastic chips will clog the coolant pump, and you can't cut ferrous materials like steel because the pitch of the blade is too coarse for ferrous material. Now we can begin clamping our workpiece. You want to make sure that your workpiece is lined up at the proper cut distance. So you can move the blade in manually by rotating the hand wheel on the right side of the machine to check your blade alignment. Clamp your workpiece by pushing the vise into contact and then pushing down on the vise clamp handle. Do that for both vices. Now, if you're cutting a short workpiece that does not extend all the way to the second vise handle, you need to make sure that you're clamping that down anyways to maximize your stiffness. The Marvel bandsaw uses an automatic feed, also called a gravity feed, to move the blade through the workpiece. So prior to starting your cut, you need to adjust the feed force to the proper value. The rule of thumb for this is 10 pounds of force per ½ inch of material height engaged on the workpiece. You can reference the chart posted for the Marvel bandsaw to find the correct value. So in this case, this is a 1 inch tall workpiece. That means we have 2 ½ inches of material engaged. So we're going to set it to 20 pounds of force. So just adjust the slider to 20 pounds, and that's our proper auto feed setting. Now we're ready to cut our workpiece. Turn the machine on by first rotating the red stop switch counterclockwise to disable the safety, then press the black. You see the blade starts to move. Right now, our coolant setting is set to auto. So what this means is that when the blade is running, the coolant is pouring out. So you can see the coolant is coming down the blade right now. So if we're making cuts in thick round pieces or rectangular pieces like this, that's a very good thing. However, for 80-20, it's acceptable to turn the coolant off. This is very important for long pieces of 80-20, or really any long material that extends past the edge of the table, because the coolant tends to run down the workpiece and drip onto the floor. So if that's the case, you either put a bucket on the back side of the workpiece so that the coolant drips into the bucket, or you turn the coolant off. So, to turn the coolant off, I first need to turn the machine off, adjust the coolant switch to off, then turn the machine back on. Now, before you start your cut, you need to move the blade gently into contact with the workpiece. Then engage the auto feed control on the front of the machine. Keep one hand on the auto feed the whole time that you're using it. And remember to stop the auto feed before the rear edge of the blade crosses all the way off the workpiece. So I just crossed through, I stopped auto feed, and now I retract the blade slowly. Turn the machine off. You can see here that the trailing edge of the blade has not yet crossed the leading edge of the workpiece. So this is an appropriate point to retract the blade. However, if the trailing edge of the blade does cross the leading edge of the workpiece, and you then try to retract the blade, you'll interfere with the workpiece. This will cause the blade to come off of the guide wheels inside the machine and destroy the blade. So, if this does happen, what you need to do is unclamp the workpiece, pull it out of the way, and then retract the blade all the way. As always, when you're finished cutting, you need to clean up the machine. So, especially if it's 80-20, this is important. Tilt the workpiece up away from the edge so that the coolant drips onto the table. wipe your workpiece off with a rag to remove residual coolant, but do not wipe the table and the vise off with the rag, as that will completely soak the rag with coolant and make it useless very quickly. So you can take the squeegee on the machine to wipe all the chips and coolant residue into the central machine cavity, and you can also use the squeegee to wipe out the inside of the vise.